Hi, everybody. I hope everybody's having a great Saturday. Ours is cold and windy, and there's absolutely no doubt that November is here. It's the worst month of the year as far as I'm concerned. I hate November. It is. It's just gray and ugly and ugh. It's just November is not a nice month. It's not a pretty month. So, oh my goodness, everybody's here today. Gail Woolsey. Hello, sweetheart. Lovely lady, Gail.
Hey, it's working.
Everything seems to be working fine. Lori Skiffington, hello. And Janet Mills, hello, lovey. Oh my goodness, everybody's here. Sylvie Miller, thank you. I appreciate that. I got tired of the mushroom. Thank you. Really? Mushroom. Okay. And Kathy Williams, thank you, sweetie. Everybody likes the hair. Yeah, I got tired of it very quickly. For years, I have had short hair. And then through the pandemic, I didn't color it anymore and I stopped cutting it and then I just let it grow out. And long hair is not hot flash friendly. Let's put it that way. So all of the warm was really getting to me. So off it went. Cindy Braden, I'm with you on November. The trees have gone from beautiful colors to yucky bare. I totally agree. Yuck. I don't like November. Brenda Owen. Sweetheart, I got an envelope with your name on it the other day. It's been mailed twice and returned twice. I don't know why. It just says that it was marked return as return to sender, not at this address. So I don't know what's going on, but same address that we've always sent stuff to, but we'll get it sorted. And Pam Reinking, hello. It is kind of cute. I like it. And Jackie Wright. Oh my goodness. Everybody's so kind. Loving the haircut. You're scared to do short hair? I'm scared to do long hair. I don't know. The long hair thing just didn't work for me. Gail Jensen. And Robin Storm. Hello, sweetheart. And Dawn Kenny Pexowski. I'm sorry. I know I'm crucifying that name, but welcome. Glad to have you with us. And Kay Reynolds. Hello, Kay. It's so nice to see everybody on here. Obviously, we got rid of the tech gremlins that were playing havoc with us last weekend, and we did a major upgrade this week to our servers and to our internet access. So everything seems to be working properly. Knock on wood. Hi, Kay.
Except yesterday.
Yesterday we had a glitch. Nothing worked. Absolutely nothing. We had no television, no phone, no nothing. Nothing worked. But now everything's working fine. We're going to have some fun today. We're going to be painting a Holiday Blessings, which was the piece we were supposed to do last Saturday, which is that pink poinsettia. This one is really like left of center for me. I wanted a really contemporary color palette. I wanted something perhaps a little tropical, not over the top tropical, but a little. And I wanted something really a bit funkier. Let's call it that. So the color palette is that. I went with the traditional poinsettia, but went completely non-traditional as far as the color palette is concerned. Lots of really cool blues and greens, and then that high saturated pink. Pardon me. I love the color palette in this. It really works nicely. And then, of course, we have to throw in a little bit of bling, so we're using a gold paint pen to do the lettering. But then I thought it would be fun to add a little bling to the flower, so we're going to use a little dimensional adhesive and some gold foil to do that. I did, however, drag out a few other little odds and sods to show you in case you don't have that foil. Then I got some other options for you for the gold detail. Pardon me. I just got over that horrible cough. Now I've got this scritchy thing in the back of my throat. So we're going to be painting that poinsettia today. I really like this piece. It's fun. I did it on that half circle. This is a 12-inch half circle. I like this surface. It's unique. Most people would paint it this way, but you know, why do what everybody else does? So we're gonna
I'm a big difference.
I gotta be different. So I kind of like this one upside down, having the straight line across the top. And I think it's a pretty piece. I think it's a fun piece to paint. It's a little festive without being very traditional. And I think this one is fun. And the technique for this is very loose and very easy. So we're going to have a lot of fun with that. But before we start painting, we have to talk about the giveaways. Now, because of last week, I still have last week's giveaways here. So that's what we're going to work with today. And it's loaded with Tombow goodies. It's right behind you. Those lovely little boxes.
Oh.
Yeah. So loaded with Tombow goodies. And of course, we've thrown some other goodies in as well. And there's also a set of Dynasty Faux Squirrel, I believe, in each of those as well. So there's a 3-brush set of Dynasty Faux Squirrel. Plus, there's some really great Tombow goodies in there. Tombow has been phenomenal. You should see the goodies that we have to put into the boxes for the 12 days of Christmas. Amazing. So really excited about the 12 days. That one's going to be so much fun. We're painting a Santa sled for the 12 days of Christmas. If you haven't seen the pattern is available on the website. The kit is available on the website. Currently, we're sold out. We're waiting for another shipment to come in, but we are currently sold out. However, we will have just the sleds, just the pattern, plus we'll have the kits available. The kits are complete. They have both of the stencils that we're using. They have the wood surface, plus a couple of bonus gifts that are in there. The printed pattern, full color printed pattern, which is huge, by the way. It's, I think, 24 pages. It's a big pattern. Lots and lots of full color step outs in there. And written instructions, plus the line drawings. The line drawings are actual size, so you'll be able to just pop it on and you're good to go. And they've been going like hotcakes. I did place another order. We have another 72 coming in. We have started shipping them. So if you have placed an order and you haven't gotten a shipping confirmation yet, 2 things. Check your spam file. And if it's not in your spam file, then it hasn't shipped yet. But we are shipping on average of 30 a day, which is a lot to get those boxes packed and get them out of here. So just be patient. They will be there before the 7th of December because we have a cutoff for those kits, the pre-order kits. We have the cutoff for the end of next week. So the new inventory will be up. End of next week will be your last chance to order them so that you get them in time. If you order them after that point, I can't guarantee that they'll get there, although we will move heaven and earth to make sure that they do, but we can't guarantee it. So we have lots and lots of kits going out of here every day. So I'm really excited about that and really appreciate the fact that you guys are supporting the 12 days. The other thing that we're doing on the 12 days of Christmas is we're doing our annual fundraiser for the Feed the Puppers Fund. And on that day, everyone who donates to the Feed the Puppers Fund, their name will go on the wheel. And we have 12 original pieces to give away that day.
12?
12. We're going to do 12.
We're doing 12?
We're going to do 12. So we'll have 12 original pieces. In order to get your name on that wheel, you have to donate that day. The other thing that we've done is we have set up a donation portal on the website. So if you donate on that day through that portal, your name will also go on the wheel. So it's going to be a very busy and very exciting day. The pieces that we're auctioning off, if they are frameable, they will be framed. If you look behind me here, you see all of these finished pieces in frames. These are the ones that we're going to be putting on the wheel. Those are the prizes for that wheel. So just to, get your juices flowing a little bit. So I think I've covered everything, and we'll talk about that more as we get closer to the day. So if you guys are ready to get started on holiday blessings, so am I. I've been wanting to paint. Holiday blessings. I love this piece. I just think this is fun, and it's not a difficult piece to paint. It is a fun one to paint, and it's a very...
Water reflection off that gold.
Yeah, love it. It needs sparkle. Hi, Corinna. And Sheila Landry. Oh, I gotta tell you, the prize boxes, we have 12 of them. They're pretty impressive. There's a lot of stuff in those prize boxes.
That reflection is messing with the sensors.
So we're going to start with the background on this one. There we go.
There you go.
I am happy. I'm finally feeling better. That's the big thing. I am finally feeling better. So we're going to start with two colors. I'm working with Mermaid Tail and Bahama Blue or Crystal Blue. Yeah, I do some. Yeah, much better. Hi, Marianne. The title, you've got Sweet and Fresh on the title. That was Tuesday's class. That's what Patrick says. Anyway, I am feeling much better. I've got my energy back, and my I'm not super clogged up and coughing every 2 seconds. That makes a big difference. So the colors we're going to use are
Say sweet and fresh.
a little bit of Bahama Blue and
That's not at all what I put in there.
Mermaid Tail. I love these two colors. Mermaid Tail. Oh, Lynn's asking how you are.
Hello, Lynn. I'm good. I'm bald.
He's bald. He shaved his head this week. So, for our background, we're going to start with a little bit of that Bahama Blue, but we're going to add a little bit of Jus Sonias to it. Just a couple of drops to each of them. Just because we want to keep this paint moving. There we go. Comme ça. So, I don't know. We are going to slap paint on. Just like this. Neatness doesn't count. Perfection is to be avoided at all cost. I know. I say that all the time and I mean it. So, Bahama Blue. We'll change it after.
I got it. I'll do it right now.
So you're going to cover about half of the surface with Bahama Blue.
Oops. Judy Thacker.
And then you're going to take the Mermaid Tail and you're going to do the other side. Just like that. And I do mean slap it on. We're not looking for neat and tidy here. And you're going to slap it on until the two colors meet. Just until they meet. Like so. And then while that paint is still wet, you're going to grab one of these. This is a big old mop. And you're going to... Of course, this will be the day that these colors don't want to blend. Of course, they don't. They're going to dry. I did this the other day, and it was like the easiest thing in the world. And of course, the paint is not staying wet. Okay, so I've got nice wet paint. And nice wet paint. I'm determined to make this work. Big old mop, and you're going to tap until those colors meld, right like that. Nice and soft. And then you're going to back blend, which means I'm just very little pressure on the brush. And a nice soft circular fashion, I'm going to meld those two colors. Just like that. There we go. So I'm using a very soft circular fashion and I'm changing directions frequently just so that I get that nice soft blend. Just like that. So I've got a nice soft, there we go. Wherever it starts to look a little harsh, Now, the downside to using one of these brushes is they shed like crazy. So when you look at it, you're going to see all of these little hairs in there. Don't worry, we're going to take care of those. Now, I prefer to do this in a circular fashion because I find that it blends better. You get a softer transition and you get a nice mottled look. But yes, look at this. Grungy. Makes a mess of this brush. You're going to have to wash this immediately. So we're going to let this dry. And I'm going to grab my, here we go. I'm going to dry this right away. And then as it dries, you're going to just gently use your fingers to get rid of those hairs. If you let them dry in there solid, they're going to leave lines and you don't want that. There we go. There we go. Pretty, pretty. I like this soft transition, this mottled. I wanted the darker value over here because that's where the bulk of our shading is. And this kind of takes care of that right off the bat. And don't knock yourself out trying to make everything absolutely perfect. Because quite honestly, it isn't necessary. So I'm going to make sure that that's good and dry. It's still a little wet along there. And then I've got my line drawing. And I'm going to position it so that that line goes right across the top. And then there's about 1/4 of an inch showing on either, all the way around this edge. And that's what we need. So just make sure that your top line, top edge, is straight and level with the edge of the piece. Now I'm going to use white graphite for this. I prefer white graphite. It'll make it easier to get rid of all of those lines in the end. Hi, Linnea. So we're going to trace this piece. It does not have to be perfect. I love the fact that this piece is, it's a bold poinsettia. I like that. I like that it has nice shape, that it's not, you know, perfectly smooth, that these petals and whatnot are a little rough, maybe even a little ragged. I kind of like that. I'm a fan. I like flowers. I love doing botanicals in general. I am not, however, a big fan of painting poinsettia. I know that sounds funny, but I don't know why. It's just meh, doesn't do it for me. However, I wanted a poinsettia for this one, and I wanted something that had, you know, a unique twist. I wanted something with a twist, and so hence the bright pink. I really like the idea of a bright pink poinsettia. I did actually see a poinsettia at Costco the other day, and it was so pretty. A pink poinsettia. I'd never seen one before. I knew they existed, but I had never seen one until just recently, and I thought, oh, it's so pretty. I don't have them in the house because we have animals, and I have cats that like to chew on plants, so we don't keep them in the house, but they are so pretty. Pretty, pretty. easy peasy. Again, I don't take a whole lot of time tracing this. I'm not worried about the details as long as I can get those center veins in. And I'm going to show you a trick. I learned this a long time ago, taking a class with one of my very first painting teachers. I learned this a long, long time ago. And it has been invaluable over the years. And that is to mark your leaves. There's nothing worse than base coating something and then realizing that you base coated a leaf the wrong color or missed a leaf. But I found it really interesting, and it's difficult to see when you're doing it from the traced surface. So I'm going to show you a little trick that works exceptionally well. I'm just going to take a second here to finish tracing this lettering. There we are. Okay, so we have oodles of leaves. Once they're traced on, sometimes it's difficult to discern which was a leaf, which was supposed to be something else, So this is something that I learned a long time ago, that when you're looking at your line drawing, you know from looking at the line drawing where the leaves are. And so this is what I was taught. Hash mark them. So that you can see where they are. And by hash marking, it makes it easier when you look at them. You can see which ones are the leaves. And it designates them and it makes them much clearer on the line drawing when you're base coating. But by having that, so you can see that they stand out, they are different from the rest. And so it makes it so much easier to base coat things so that you don't A, miss them, or B, paint them the wrong color. So hash marks, some people mark them with a letter. The hash mark actually is a very visual reference. It's a very clear reference as to which are leaves and which are not. So just a quick and easy way to designate. Simple. So to get started on this, the first thing I like to do is to put all that shading in. So all of the shading in the background, we're going to be using either mermaid tail or mystic teal. Either one of these colors will work. They're fairly close. The mystic teal is like half a value lighter. So I like the mermaid tail. It's a nice deep dark color and it's just so pretty. And if you want it darker, well, you can always add a little bit of black to it if you want it a little bit darker, but nice little bit of mermaid tail. I'm using a 1/2 inch angle to do this. And this actually helps tremendously when it comes to deciding where things need to be. So we're going to put a little bit of mermaid tail in here, up underneath all of those leaves, just like that. Connie Giesland, hello. Glad to have you with us. Yes, I do keep the red pens on the website. And it brings up a really interesting point. I got a new one. I love my red pens for tracing. It just makes things so much simpler. For me, I don't. So I got a new one. It's a Japanese red pen, and it's exceptional. So there's our, see that little bit float of love this color. That little bit of mermaid tail floated back there. It's subtle because it's on top of mermaid tail. It is a subtle one, but it works very, very well. And it lets you get that deeper, richer green. There we go. Hi, Linnell. So there's that little float of mermaid tail back there. I love that mermaid tail when you use that to shade in there. It just helps lift this floral off of the surface a little bit. Just in general makes things look great. So we're going to start with those leaves. Me trying to find my paradise green. I know I have it. Do you think I can find it? No. I used it, but I can't find it. Drives me bananas. Honestly. Paradise green is a very dark green. It's like a peacock green. Not peacock, parrot green. It's a beautiful, rich green. This one is jewel green. I'm going to have to mix some, I think. So I'll use a little bit of yeah. Paradise green is a very dark teal green. It has a really deep teal tone to it. But I'm going to have to mix some. So I'm mixing a little bit of black forest green, a little bit of that will do. A little bit of mermaid tail and a little bit of that jewel green with it. So all of the areas that I've hash marked are the leaves. So I'm going to base coat those with that green. Could even be darker. There we go. Oops, daisy. There we are. This is a fun piece. It's very forgiving because the colors we're using are really quite left of center. I really wanted colors that were not as traditional, if that makes any sense. I wanted a non-traditional color palette, but still in keeping with a Christmas theme, so to speak. And those candy tones, I call them candy colors. Those candy colors are very popular this year. Hugely popular this year. Kind of cool. Here we are. There's so much of it. I mean, was looking at Michael's the other day, at all of the Christmas stuff that's in, and there's a lot of that very candy themed ornaments and decorations. Not really my cup of tea, quite honestly, but it certainly is quite popular. And if you haven't seen it, Decoart's got that love color, and that color palette fits beautifully into those that candy theme. Candy colors are those bright pastel tones that are so popular. You see a lot of it in Christmas ornaments, and everything is candy oriented. So there's donuts and candy decorations and things like that. It's just, there's so much of it right now. So I'm putting a little leaf in there. That little hash mark technique just isolates the leaves, makes it a little easier to see. Is it just me, or does this seem dim? There we go. Hello, Shirley. Good morning. And Susan, good afternoon. The candy colors, I call them candy colors. That's not really what they are, but Decort has this new love color line. And the color palette is very much that candy theme. It has that, those bright pinks and those lush purples and things like that. So everything has that very sweet look to it. There we go. I'm going to probably put another coat on.
I'm tired.
To wear out?
Yep.
So, there we go. Hi, Sandy. And Rebecca.
What are the candy colors?
Yeah. Oh, we were just talking about that. Yep.
I don't see any Bluetooth.
So I have a few of these. Somebody was asking about the love color. This is love color. These are a brand new line from Decort. All of the colors are along this line. Very candy, very sweet, very playful, very fun colors. I have a whole selection of them. I have a complete line of these, plus the glitter. They have a series of glitters that are very chunky and very bright, lots of neons, very playful. And then they have these, which are the 3D jelly drops, which is a dimensional paint, and they dry clear. So they have these bright colors. So there's all kinds of fun stuff. Plus they have one called frosting, which is sort of like a whipped texture medium that is in this line as well. So they're so much fun. And this one actually shows up under blacklight. It's pretty cool. So they are fun. And this is what I've been calling candy colors, because to me that's what they are. These bright, colorful pastels, and they use them for a lot of playful things. Like you see a lot of cupcakes and cookies and things like that decorated with this paint. It is a very fun paint to work with. There's lots of cool textures and glitters and fun add-ons within it. Plus there's dimensional paints and dimensional clear drops like this. They're really cool.
They're edible?
No, they're not edible. Sorry to disappoint you.
You said cookies.
I did say cookies, but not edible cookies. Painted cookies.
Ah.
Yeah.
Why would you paint cookies if you can't eat them?
I have no idea. And this house wouldn't last 5 seconds.
Then
Apparently, I have to make a cake this afternoon.
Says who?
Dad.
Oh.
White cake with peanut butter frosting. Apparently.
Okay.
Well, we're down to like 6 cookies, and that's the only sweets left in the house. So when the cookies are gone, I'll make the cake.
I'll be back in about 20.
Okay. He's going to go eat the last of the cookies. So our paint is dry. I'm going to grab a 3/8 angle and I'm going to grab a little bit of black green. I like black green. I'm going to add a little black green to our base color that we used here because I want it really dark. I want a nice dark shadow. I'm having one of those days. I cannot find my paradise green. So we're going to start with a shadow. I'm going to add a little of that black green to this because I need a darker version of this. Beauty. There we go. There we go. So we're going to add shadows to our leaves. So shadows up underneath the petals and down the center vein of each of those leaves. Nothing spurs the men in my house like telling them that if they eat all of the cookies that I'll make cake. Not that they need any encouragement to eat the goodies, but just so that we don't have a 1.5 tons of baked goods laying around the house and nobody eating them. So there we go. There we are. We need nice shadows underneath these leaves. There we are. There we are. Pardon me. Paradise Green came out a couple of years ago. It was, I'm trying to think of the good description for it. The color itself was inspired by a parrot, Central America. It is, I don't like to use the term a jewel green, although it is a very much a jewel tone, but it has a really vibrant teal tone or teal undertone to it. You would see it in feathers and things like that. It's a very rich green, very dark. There we go. And it has that, that incredible teal tone to it. I am painting the leaves. There we are. Now I'm going to grab a little mermaid tail because I love this color, first of all. I'm going to bring a little of that mermaid tail into the leaves because it's still looking a little earthy to me and I want it a little brighter. So just bringing a little mermaid tail in, just a little wash of it in the highlight areas of these leaves. The green, the Paradise Green, has more of a teal tone. The color that I mixed for this is not quite the teal, so I'm bringing a little mermaid tail in over top of everything just to give us that teal. There we go. Beauty. Hi, Norma. Glad to have you with us. So I'm going to dry this real quick. Now, the highlighting for these leaves is actually pretty simple. I'm going to mix a little bit of warm white. I'm going to pick up a little bit of that Bahama blue. I want to keep that teal tone. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of warm white and a little bit of Bahama blue. And we're going to do this on the highlight side of the leaf. So from the center out, I like doing this. I'm just going to tap and pull a little highlight in like that. So it's going to look a little linear. And then I'm going to leave a little space and I'm going to tap and pull. Like that. Yeah, it is. I think it's the shadow on this that makes it look that way. I've been thinking the same thing. I think it's just that the way this is shaded, because it's not really any darker, it's just the color. And then so on the chisel edge, it's a tap and pull. So you stand the brush on the chisel edge, leave a space, tap and pull. Just like that. I like the simple highlights. We're not looking for meticulous high detail highlights here. There we are. So once you have those highlights in, I'm going to come up to this one here. Little float on the chisel edge, tap and pull. I like this type of a highlight. It's very rustic. It is simple. It is not over the top. And I goofed. Of course I did. I goofed because I didn't leave a space. There we go. And you need that space. There we go. that little space implies that there's vein lines in the leaves. And so if you don't put them in, it looks very flat. There we go. So it is a very rustic and simple. We're not overdoing it with this. So I'm going to dry this real quick, and then we're going to deepen the shading. And I'm going to deepen that with a little bit of mermaid tail. I'm just going to bring a little of mermaid tail back into it because I find I'm not liking my green. There we go. So I'm just deepening those shadows with a little float of mermaid tail. There we are. The nice part about this is that we're not having to worry too much about whether or not these leaves are perfect because we're going to be outlining them. We're going to be adding some gold to this. So any rough edges, any imperfections, any of those details are all going to be taken care of by that little bit of gold. So I'm going to dry this, and then we're going to start working on those petals. Whew. Having a moment. Go. So we've got leaves. We've got a nice background. I love this whole tone. Now, the color that we're using for these flowers is this one, bubblegum pink. I love me some bubblegum pink. Downside is this color requires 2 coats. Now, you could go in with a little bit of warm white if you wanted to. Simply because it would make covering this teal a little easier. I did not when I painted the original. However, absolutely nothing wrong with doing it now. A little bit of warm white. Thinned. It doesn't need to be fully opaque, but it does need to interrupt all that blue, and it will make your pink a little bit brighter, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Paint following the shape of the petal. We call these petals, but technically they're not petals, they're leaves. Poinsettia itself is not a flower. The part that we refer to as the flower is not technically the flower. It's leaves. The cluster of little pods in the center are actually the flowers. And this is leaves. The things you learn, right? There we go. So just a loose base of thinned warm white will make a world of difference in how these flowers pop up. It is never a bad idea, especially when you're working over top of a color like this teal. It is a dark color and it will influence that pink if you don't block it in. I use 3 coats. 2 ordinarily should do it, especially if you're working over white, but I use 3 coats of pink over top of that teal, and it still shows through. But, you know, more fool me. And this, yes, Pam, this is a number 5 round. I tend to use a number 5 for most things, unless it gets smaller. Then I'll go to a smaller brush. But in general, for most things, I use a number 5. It's a nice size. It works well for a whole bunch of different things. And they're talking about dips today. One of our favorites is a spinach dip. I think that's a common one for everybody, and it's a super easy one to make. I make spinach dip, but I also make a dip with cranberries and brie and Grand Marnier, which is delicious. I'm a big fan. I like my Grand Marnier, and I like brie, and cranberries. I love cranberries. I know for us this evening, what is on the menu tonight is I'm making a gumbo. I put that on this morning. And it's loaded with andouille sausage, and I've got all my favorite things in it. Some of our home smoked bacon. We did that this summer. We smoked about 12 to 15 pounds of bacon. So that is in there. And the andouille sausage. And I've got some nice prawns to put in. And some okra. So I put all of that in the slow cooker this morning. So that's dinner tonight. I'm just going to make some cornbread. And I think that will do the trick. I mean, how bad can it be, really? Karen knows my baked brie. And you don't have to use cranberries. You can use blueberries too. It works very well. But a little bit of Grand Marnier to flavor the brie is never a bad idea. And I made a batch of Christmas jam, so I've got my jam all made. Easy peasy. This is going really nicely. There we are. So just one more petal to do, and we'll be ready to start putting in that pink. There we are. There we go. So we've got just a single base of white. What would I do if I wanted a white poinsettia? I would leave it white. I would probably do another coat just to give a nice uniform, doesn't have to be fully opaque, but just to give it a nice uniform look. And I think I would use like Bahama Blue and Asphaltum and whatnot to shade the petals with. I'm going to make sure this is good and dry. So my base color for these poinsettia is this gorgeous bubblegum pink. I think if I have a favorite pink, this is probably it. I do like bubblegum pink. I tend to gravitate towards this one quite a bit. Not sure why. I'm not a huge pink person, but I do really like this color. If I'm going to paint something pink, this tends to be the one that I gravitate to. It is very bright. It is a very bright pink, but it is such a rich color. Look at how nice that little bit of white underneath just makes such a nice difference. Look at that. And it's so easy to base coat when you've got a white, that little bit of white down. Look at that. This part's going to go fairly quickly. Get that pink in. Again, whenever I'm base coating something like this, I try as much as possible to follow the shape of it so that all the brush marks go in that one direction, following the shape of it. And for a couple of reasons is that when you put shading and highlighting in, any little lines and stria become part of the flower. Any little brush marks that are showing become part of the flower. It's as if it was created a part of its natural look to start with. And so it just, in the end, makes for a much nicer finish. So look at that pink against that teal. It's so pretty. And it's quite vibrant. And so rich against that teal. Great color. It is such a great color. There we go. Again, following the shape of that flower, all of the strokes follow the shape of the petal. And that way, any brush marks, any lines, any stria that you've created become part of the flower, part of the petal. And you're not working against the design. There's nothing worse than having brush marks that are going in 10 different directions. And then you can't work with them. Whereas if they're all going in one direction and they're following the shape of the flower, or the shape of the petal, in the end, it just makes it so much better. What a pretty color. So because I've got that little bit of white down first, I think I'm going to be able to get away with just one coat of pink. I don't think I will need a second coat. It's looking pretty good. Now, I did break out a couple of products that I've had for years, that I've used for years, on a variety of things that I wanted to show you that as alternatives. I'm using a dimensional adhesive to do a gold outline on these. And but it's not always easy to get some of those products, that dimensional adhesive from Pebeo. Sometimes it's available, sometimes it's not. If you have it in your arsenal, fantastic. But if you don't, it can be very frustrating when you need something to complete a project and then you aren't able to get your hands on it. I know that. And so it behooves me to try to give you some other options because I know how frustrating it can be. So, one of the things that I've been using a lot lately that I really have really enjoyed using, I've been using Posca pens for a great many things. They work very well. The colors are beautiful, and the selection, and they're readily available. I mean, you can find them almost anywhere. I have found them on Amazon. I have found them on Dick Blick. I found them on in Michael's. They're fairly easy to find, and so they've been great for a lot of things. When other stuff has been difficult to find, those Posca pens come in very, very handy, especially for things like, simple lettering, for fun little details, adding things, borders and stuff like that. They're great. However, there are other options available to you, and I'm going to show you a couple of them today. One of my favorites, I've used it for years. I used to use it a lot in faux finishing and things like that, is Liquid Leaf. The downside to Liquid Leaf is that it is a solvent based. This is it here, Liquid Leaf. This is a classic gold. 1, it's flammable. 2, it's poisonous. So if you can't deal with any of the odors, etc., this is not for you. However, Liquid Leaf, when it dries, looks just like gold leaf. It dries with that sheen. It dries with that beautiful metallic look. It is beautiful stuff. And it's because of its viscosity, you can use a pen with it. You can use a fine line brush. Downside is, again, it is solvent based, so you have to have something like an odorless terp or something handy to clean your brushes afterwards. It is a beautiful product, and the end result is gorgeous. Let's see if I can open it up. And it produces an absolutely beautiful metallic. It is rich and it's sumptuous. It has that gorgeous metallic sheen. Look how pretty that is. But it stinks to high heaven. As I said, it's a solvent base. So you can find something like this. The other option is to use, the metallic gold paint pens. There are a variety of them in different tips, etc. You can use those. You can use just standard metallic paint and a brush to do the outlining. So you're not relegated to having to use exactly what I've used in this one, which is that Jadeo mixation, which is a relief adhesive, and a gold foil. So when it comes to doing this, we're going to talk a little bit more about that, but I wanted to show you this Liquid Leaf. I love the finish of this, and it's beautiful. It takes a little bit of time to dry, but the finish is gorgeous. But whew, man, the smell. So if you can't deal with the odors of a solvent-based or an oil-based paint, then the Liquid Leaf is not for you. But an absolutely fabulous finish. So we just got one more petal to do here. This one is fun. I think mainly because you don't really have to worry too much about, absolute perfection with this piece. Because part of the charm of this is the fact that it's not perfect. And I'm a big fan of imperfections. I think they make things far more interesting. Okay. I'm just going to empty my brush. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to dry this really well. I love this color palette. The bright pink with that teal. I just think it works. It's going to be fun. So the center portion of this, we're going to use some of those greens. We're going to use that jewel green or that paradise green to paint the center. And of course a little bit of margarita. And make sure everything is good and dry before I tackle this next part. Here we go. Oh, goodness. Oh my goodness, that coffee is tasty today. The white Posca pen. Yes, you can get them individually at Michael's. And Amazon does sell them individually, yes. So I have like an absolute pile of paint. Tons and tons of paint out right now. I got bottles everywhere. So the color that we're going to work with for this poinsettia is this one, Joyful Pink. I was trying to think the other day, there was a color many, many moons ago called Royal Fuchsia. Do you remember that color? It was a very vibrant pink. And it had a really nice, slight purplish cast to it. Just the tiniest little bit of purple in it. Just to keep it nice and cool. And this Joyful Pink is about as close to it as I've seen. And I loved that Royal Fuchsia. It was just such a great color. The upside to this one is it's a bit more transparent than Royal Fuchsia was. So you've got a little more flexibility with it. So I've got 1/2 inch angle. I'm going to make sure I got all the teal out of it. And a little bit of Joe Sonia's. And we're going to float. I blend this out quite a bit. It is a very strong color. So we're going to start with the petals in underneath. So down that center vein and in here. Now I'm working this brush on the chisel edge because I want to get a fair amount of color underneath that. There we go. So I'm going to float underneath. Just like that. I want a fair amount of that. I like that purpley pink tone that this color has, and I like that it's a little on the transparent side. It just gives you a really nice look. Here we are. Look at that. So all of those little folds underneath, get in underneath. Wherever these petals overlap is where you want to get those shadows. I'm going to switch to a smaller angled shader. There we go. Just such a great color. Oof. There we are. Now on those bigger petals, we're going to float that center vein. And then we're going to add, oops, I should have let that dry. We're going to float that center vein, just like so. I love this color. It's just such a fun, vibrant pink. Here we go. So there's that center vein. Gonna get that same thing on this side. And if you find your float's not moving, you're not getting that transition, then get lots more glaze in that brush. Just so that that color moves around. There we are. So these floats do not look perfect. We're just establishing, hi Wendy, we're just establishing those center veins. And I forgot one. Let me make sure this is dry. Before I end up putting my hands in it. There we go. There we go. So we've got all of our center veins in. So it looks pretty rough at this point, but it will improve, I promise. Now, one of my favorite things is we got to put some vein lines in. So I'm just floating in, pretty simple, nothing fancy, just a little float. This is just going to establish some veins. That's all it's doing. Neatness doesn't count for this. And it is very rudimentary, but it will work, I promise. So, So that float that I put in is it just creates some lines. They're rough. They're not perfect. They're not smooth. They're not pretty, but it is a base. So we're going to do that again on this little one here. I forgot to put that center vein in. Ever have a day where you couldn't get things right if your life depended on it? I've had those days. I've been having a lot of them lately. There we go. So those little vein lines are pretty simple. We're just creating a little something. But don't worry about getting them absolutely perfect because they don't need to be. And it is going to look very rudimentary for a bit. There we go. And I think I'm there. So we've got, oops, did that backwards. There we go. And it does look very, almost childlike. I promise you, it's going to look different when we're done. So I'm going to dry this, and then we're going to start deepening some shading. Aw, Norma, that's a sweet thing to say. Nelda Sanders, hello. Hi, Kathy Sloan, hello. And goodness, everybody's here today. So glad you could come and join us. The coffee's good today. So I'm going to switch to a 1/2 inch angled shader. And we're going to start putting in some nice floats. This is rudimentary. We're going to start building some really nice floats. So the nice floats are going to be these ones. This is where things start to get a little softer and a little more concise, a little more precise. So I'm deepening that float towards the center of the flower. Hi, Cheryl. And I'm going to do the same under here. This little petal down here is going to be very dark in comparison. This leaf tucked in behind here, petal, leaf, petal, whatever. We're going to deepen that. Layers, layers, layers. You get depth with layers. The more layers you have, the more depth you have. So those floats start to soften the petals. You see the difference? This looked very childlike and very heavy and hard-edged. And the minute you start putting those nice soft floats over top, everything seems to take on a different look. Things become a bit more precise and a little softer. And those petals start to take on a bit more delicacy, I think is the word that I'm looking for. Things look a little less hard-edged. And things tend to soften. So there we go. So now we've got a softer appearance to those petals. And that shadow towards the center gives those petals a bit more of a curve. And so it gives you the impression that they're sort of dropping out nice and soft. I love the look that a nice soft float over top where it mutes things a little and it brings everything into line. Look at how soft these petals start to look. And these colors look a little less intense, a little less hard-edged. They take on a different look altogether. Layers, layers, layers. And look at how soft they're starting to look. And it's just one thin layer of color over top of another thin layer of color. And it does build things dramatically. Things stop looking so heavy and hard-edged. And they take on a more delicate look because you've softened those boundaries. Things look less heavy. And the nice part is that at any time that you feel you need to make things look a bit more precise, it's this simple. Deepen a float, soften a float, clean it up. You get a much more precise look. Look at how sharp those shadows get. We all know that when we're painting, whatever we're painting has an extended ugly stage. We all know that. Things take time to build them up. And I love it when you're working on something and it has that extended ugly stage and then all of a sudden it just takes on a different look altogether. And it seems to happen very quickly. It seems to. I know that it really doesn't because, you're having to work at it for so long. It really doesn't happen quickly, but it just seems to. It's as if all of a sudden everything just comes to life. Everything that you've been working on just suddenly changes. And I love that look. I love that when you're painting something like this, that those petals suddenly become so much brighter. So I'm going to grab a little bit of that bubblegum pink, and then I'm going to pick up a little bit of warm white, just a touch of it. Because I'm one of those people, I got to get something. It needs to get to a point. So much like we did on the petals, I like this, that little highlight. And I'm going to grab a little bit of warm white. And then I'm going to do the edge of the petal the same way. Remember to stop where you see that little line, that center vein, that line that comes off the center. Stop there. There's your little Now, I like my highlight on the outer edge as well. I like to see a little bright up there. Remember to stop at that center vein. at that little line. It just makes a world of difference. This petal. Look at this, the warm white. A little bit of that. I love it. A little bit of that bubblegum pink in the brush makes a world of difference. Just a touch. You don't want that bright, hard white. I think that that hard white is too much. Little float. Don't forget to... There we go. I love that these are actually quite simple. They have that ugly stage, yes. So a little bit of that. Oh, goodness, put my thumb right in the paint. Right into the pile of Bahama Blue. So I pick up just a touch of that bubblegum pink. And then pick up some white. So it doesn't, you don't have this glaring white highlight on everything. If you're going to use warm white, use it very sparingly. Highlight. Ta-ta-ta. Hi, Maze. Maze came for a visit.
Just move Dad up so she doesn't hit.
Instead, I get a boob punch.
Ow.
Maze likes...
Stepping on my feet.
Maze likes to punch me in the boob to get my attention. Hi, Maze. What you doing, Papa Dog? That's our girl.
How's things here?
Good. Seems to be working fine.
What color are you shading with?
Joyful Pink is the shading color. It is that bright in your face pink.
I don't think we can see. Which pink are you using? That one?
The shading color is this one, this in your face Joyful Pink right here. That one right there. This one right here. Joyful Pink. Colors are not as vibrant. I don't know why. Even, but this actually made them think there was a shadow there. Can we do a shot of Maze so you can see her?
I don't know.
Good luck with that.
Shot of maze. See if we can do that. Hey. Where are you going? You go over here? There you are. Nothing but nose.
Nothing but nose.
It's maze.
That's Miss Maze. Just trashing the place.
There you go.
Knocking cameras around. She's having a good time.
She camera shy.
She's not shy. Not even close. Love Maze kisses. I got Maze kisses. She has a... Hi, Linda. She likes to pinch, and she got me good this week. She tries to grab your sweater and give it. Yeah, she got me good this week.
Oh man, did that ever show up on camera?
Oh, yeah. Like, it's all the shades of green and yellow. She's beautiful. She's a goofball. Marjorie Eaton, she says she's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
She is entertaining, to say the least.
She's stupid smart.
That she is. Absolutely stupid smart. She's a crazy dog. Oopsie daisy. So I'm brightening the highlight with warm white.
We'll knock over that.
She's the proverbial bull in the china shop.
Yeah. It's that tail.
Yep. Her tail has absolutely no respect for anything. Because it wags at 90 miles an hour. So, nice bright highlight. So remember what I said, that there's going to be an ugly stage and everything looks fairly rudimentary until you start putting in those final highlights. And then those leaves become very soft and very bright. And I love that little white at the edge. Makes such a difference to this piece. That all of these petals, become so much more vibrant. And the fun part, quite honestly, is that we can get away with a lot with this method. We don't have to get it perfect because we're going to be putting something on the outside edge so that we don't have to struggle too much. Oops. And that little bit of white gives us that great contrast that we need. And it's so much more fun when you don't have to worry too much. These are not painted in a traditional meticulous toll style. These are painted very loosely. Now we have a piece here where there's a highlight, but this leaf is back there, so we are going to be a little more subtle with the highlight. There we go. Oops. Oh, goodness. Not enough liquid in the brush and too much paint. There we go. So I'm just about there with some of these highlights. I want to punch up a few because I like the bright. I like the bright. So we're going to put a little in here. And then we're going to use a little joyful paint to fill in all of those little flip overs because there's a ton of them in this piece. We're going to fill those in and give us lots and lots of cool textures and dimension. And again, we're not worrying too much about the perfection thing. Bitten by ladybugs. Yes, ladybugs do bite. Or they can bite anyway. It depends on which ones you've got. There is an Asian version that's floating around. And they have a different number of spots than our typical ladybirds that we get here. We get a lot of them. They were introduced here to remove certain insects, and we've had to put up with an influx of the little buggers. Here we go. We do get a fair amount of ladybirds here, especially in the fall. They start to look for their nesting places. Yes, the bright orange ones can really bite. So I got one more petal I need to concern myself with, and it's this one. I love this one because this one is taking the bulk of the white. I like adding texture to leaves with this method where you float and then chisel blend it. I've done this for years. So you float and then you chisel blend back towards the center vein, always following the shape of the leaf. So you get a texture to the highlight. And at the same time, it gives you a nice highlight. It softens the highlight. So you get the precision of the float, and then when you chisel blend it, you get that nice soft look. Now, and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So I'm going to float that white pink mix right up against the edge, and then you chisel blend, which means you stand the brush on the chisel edge and just tap and pull like so. I like this method. I've used it for years. I just find that it helps you create some interesting textures, and it gives you a nice soft highlight. So you get the precision of the float, especially in the areas where you need it the most. You know, along that center vein where you need that nice precise highlight, that crisp edge, where you need that contrast. And then when you put the float along the, like this, so there's that precision. Put the float in like so. So you get that nice crisp edge. And then when you tap and pull back, following the shape of the petal, you get a nice soft. Of course, don't have enough paint. Okay, now I've got enough paint. Good. So there it is. Good Lord. Float, chisel blend. Float, chisel blend. And we're going to do a little bit on this side too. So we got a little petal right in here that I had completely forgotten about. Here we go. There we are. There we are. I've always liked that little bit of texture at the edge of the leaf. I just find it works really nicely. So, we've got our highlights in. Now, I'm going to use a smaller round, if I can find one. And we're going to use a little of that. Oh, no, actually, I'm going to use a rigger. I'm going to use a rigger for this because it's the only way I'm going to get the accuracy I want. So I'm going to thin out a little bit of that joyful pink because we have a few little highlight or flip overs to put in. Oh, English is the second language today. So I've got a little flip over right here with a little of that joyful pink. I really like having that little flip because it just gives the leaves a little more texture and a little more interest. You know. And then we've got this one. There we are. Now, I'm going to dry that really well. And then we're going to tone all of these shadows. We're going to go in with a little bit of asphaltum. Need a ladybug on a leaf. So make sure this is good and dry. Gotta make sure everything is good and dry. So we're going to use a little bit of asphaltum. I love asphaltum. I think you guys know that by now. Asphaltum is a toning color. I use it for that all the time. So a little bit of asphaltum. And I'm going to use a 1/2 inch or a 3/8 angled shader. I like a smaller angled shader for this. And we're going to, let's see if I can, there's the asphaltum. You're going to thin this out quite a bit. You don't want this colorful strength. We just want to tone this and deepen these shadows. We don't want a really dark brown. So I'm just going to put a float of this thinned asphaltum over top of this petal because it's actually tucked underneath this one. So we're going to use a float of that over there. And it just sets this one down and back a little bit. And this one, we're going to use it to tone this because this one is in behind these two forward petals. And we don't want to make them so dark that they don't look pink anymore, but we want a little bit of a shadow. And then while you're at it, throw a little over top of that center vein. So do you see this petal all of a sudden drops down and back from these two in the front? It's a very soft float. You're not going to use this color full strength. So it's lots of glaze or water in the brush in order to get that. So up underneath this leaf too. And again, this leaf instantly drops back. It is a very weak float. You do not need to have a ton of color in the brush to do this. This petal is over top of this petal, so we're going to put a float of that asphaltum in there. And again, also in the center vein. Don't be afraid to put a little of that in there. So the petals that are furthest back and towards the center are going to get deepened a little. I'm going to darken this just a touch, especially towards the center of the flower, right in here, because it is the furthest away from the light source. So we're going to have that little bit of asphaltum back there is going to deepen it. The same here. This area here is in behind that center portion of the flower, the little florets. We're going to put a little bit of asphaltum there and in here. Because it's furthest away from the light source, it's being blocked. So we're going to put a little float of that heavily thinned asphaltum. I love this color for this reason, is that you can tone it. It doesn't take away from that bright pink, but it tones it enough that it sets it back a little. And then you can deepen center veins. Don't be afraid to take that color in to a few places. It's okay. You can deepen shadows, especially those towards the center here. Deepen those shadows a little bit. Not going to hurt. In behind this little flip over here. See how this one's got a little fold in it? Put a little float in there. That little bit of asphaltum does wonderful things for that pink. Okay, so now we've got all those deep shadows. Oh, Miss Bloomfield is here. Miss Deb. So glad you came and joined us. Miss Deb is recovering from surgery. Hopefully you're feeling well. So we're going to let this dry. And we're going to come into that center and fill in. We've got all kinds of little pods and the little florets that go in here. So I'm going to use a little of that jewel green. I'm going to give it a good shake because so where's my rigger? Got a rigger. So we have all of those little pods in the center here. We're going to base coat with either that paradise green, or in this case I'm using jewel green because I can't find my paradise green. I have no idea where it went. So we have all of these little pods. When in actual fact all of these little pods are the flower. It seems strange. We always think of the brightest, colorful, most vibrant part of the poinsettia as being the flower, when in actual fact, the flowers on a poinsettia are these little pods. In here. This is actually the flower. It is this portion in the center of the flower, center of the poinsettia. Those are the actual flowers, or florets. And the rest is actually leaves. So I'm going to dry that. And these are pretty straightforward. We're going to base coat those with that green, but we're going to add a dot I wouldn't be a bit surprised, Robin. I don't know where it went. So I'm using the end of my brush to do this part. I'm using a little bit of margarita, and I'm adding just a dot of that green to the top of those pods, just like so. Pretty simple. Those little bits and bobs here. There we go. So it's going to look pretty rudimentary until I do a little bit of shading, but we're going to dry that. Got to make sure that this is good and dry. I am notorious for putting my fingers into my paint. Hi, Shannon. I'm gonna make sure these are dry. Otherwise, I'm notorious. I will put my fingers in them and then, I will have an unholy mess. So I'll make sure these are good and dry before I do the next step. So I'm going to use a little bit of that. I'm using a really dark green. I think it's Black Forest green. Or a little of that brush mix that we used before. I'm going to just put a shadow at the bottom of each of these little pods and separate them from the others. It just to give them a little more shape so they don't just look like a green blob with yellow blobs. It's just to define them a little bit and separate them so that we have individual pods as opposed to, a whole bunch of just globs of paint. Now you can highlight these with a little bit of warm white if you like. I'm actually going to use my gel pen to define them a little further. So I'm going to bring this up so you can see it. So I've put a little shadow right at the base of each pod, little U-shaped float, so that it gives them a little bit more shape. Lorraine, I need some blenders. What do I recommend? IPC point blenders are perhaps my favorite. I love those. If you're wondering what they look like, this is them. I use these for a whole bunch of different things. I like them for dry brushing. I like them for blending colors. They're just a really handy one. This is a size small. This is a point blender IPC. They're made by Dynasty, and they're available at thebrushguys.com. And if you use the coupon code Tracy M, gives you a little extra discount. And the Brush Guys are really great. I just got a whole bunch of brushes in the other day because, I needed brushes. No, I didn't, but I got some anyway. Oh, that's nice of you to say, Pat. Why is watching you as satisfying as watching a good movie with a great plot? I have absolutely no idea, but I'll take it. That's a great compliment. Thank you. So, I'm going to grab my gel pen, because you know me, I like my gel pen. And I'm going to define my pods, which just means I'm going to sketch around them, because I like to. It's just a me thing. I like my gel pen. And I like sketchy lines. Oof. I don't know what the weather in Nova Scotia is like, but I can tell you here it is cold, blustery, and very windy. And we're expecting a little bit of rain. We always need brushes. Yes, Diane, we do. How did you do at your, Diane, you were at a craft sale. How did you do? Hopefully it was a good show. You were showing pictures of just the funnest, such cute pieces that you've done for that craft sale. So I'm going to bring a little bit of warm white in because I'm looking at my center and it's kind of meh. It needs a little something something. So I'm going to bring a little bit of warm white in. And I'm going to add a dot of warm white to all of the margarita just because I can. It's my party. There we go. So I'm going to dry this. And then we're going to do have a little bit of fun with some dimensional adhesive. I'm a big fan of this stuff. I love textures. And so the idea of being able to bring texture into a piece is always fun for me. So I've got my dimensional adhesive. And I see something I need to fix. Because it's just not talking to me, if you know what I mean. I'm going to grab a little of that joyful pink. And I need to bring a little in. There we go. I don't know. That just wasn't... There. Okay. There was just too much white showing right there. So I'm going to dry that. This one is pretty simple. I mean, we're not talking about really elaborate painting. How much Joe Sonia do I put in my brush? I dip my brush in and I draw it up the side and then I touch it to my sponge, to my wet sponge. So I use the same amount of Joe Sonia as I do water. I essentially just paint with the glaze as opposed to water. So this is Jadeo Miction Relief. I love this stuff. And it actually works very well. Straight out of the tube. And we're going to outline everything. So in case you were wondering why I wasn't too overly worried about the gaps or the spaces. This is why. Because I'm going to cover them up with adhesive. So all of those little spaces between petals and whatnot, I don't really worry about them because I'm going to fill that gap with a little bit of that adhesive anyhow. Now, it takes a little practice to get used to squeezing this out in a controlled fashion. But don't be afraid to practice with it, off on something else. And quite honestly, even if you do get thick lines or if you get, wobbles and bobbles, don't worry about it. It's just not that important. And I do throw a little detail down those center veins. Why not? A little bit. Right on the edge. If you've got little areas that you're not thrilled with, don't be afraid to cover them up. It's okay. This stuff to me, is very forgiving. It doesn't matter if it's a little thick or a little thin. It just doesn't. It's going to put a little bling there. So if it doesn't come out perfect, that's okay. The whole point behind this is just to add a little bling to things, to add texture to things. It doesn't have to be an absolutely perfect outline. Personally, I think that would be boring. And this is pretty. So it gives you an opportunity to, perhaps hide things you're not thrilled with a little bit of bling. It allows you a little more latitude as far as the design goes. So if a leaf or a petal is not perfect, who cares? It doesn't have to be. And you can also take a little bit of creative license with this. So if you want little curly cues at the ends of your petals, put them in. Why not? There's no real rules to this, quite honestly. You want to put a little whirly-gig at the end? Knock yourself out. You do what you do. I love that this allows you to have a little bit of fun with some gold leaf, have a little bit of fun with some details, to kind of play with the rules a bit and create a few of your own as you go. I love the notion that the imperfections are just more interesting. I don't know what's going on with YouTube. Guys seem to be having a hard time staying online. There we go. So I've got all my petals outlined. You can see, not perfect. It's okay. I love, can you paint on top of the gold foil? Yeah, I would seal it with a matte spray beforehand, but yes. So I'm going to do the same thing to the leaves because I can and it's my party. I love the notion that I can, add texture to things, that I can play with the details a little bit. How fun is that? Easy peasy. Such fun. Now, because it's an adhesive, it's going to take a little bit to dry, but when it's completely dry, it dries clear. The other thing I like doing is in that center area, throw in a few little dots of gold. Why not? Go for it. There's nothing to say that you can't do that. So I'm putting in just a few little dots here and there so that when I put the foil on, they're going to come up as a gold dot. So that is the adhesive, that Pebeo Jadeo mixation. I love this stuff. It's so much fun. The gold leaf, the gold foil, it's not technically a leaf, it's a gold foil, is this one. This one is made by Deco Color. I love this stuff. It's inexpensive, it's easy to work with, and you get 5 sheets in a roll, and it works so well for this particular technique, but you can reuse that sheet over and over and over again. And it's easy to find. You can find it on Amazon, you can get it at Dick Blick, you can get it almost anywhere. It is an inexpensive one, and it works beautifully. So when this is completely dry, it will no longer be white, but wait until it is completely dry before you try to put the gold foil on. Oh, Terry, I loved the paper effects. That was one of the best products. So I want to get this dry enough that we can tackle the lettering, and then... So there's a whole bunch of different ways you can do this lettering. So if you want to, you can do this using a brush and a little bit of gold paint. Or you can use a Posca pen or one of these gold paint pens. Now I have a gold paint pen. This is my Posca one. Posca makes these. I love this one because I like this point. That they have that nice firm point on the Posca pens. I love that. And the gold in this one is actually quite nice. find a lot of markers, the gold is more brassy looking, and this one is actually quite nice. So you can use the Posca pens. This one is the Pen Touch. This one is by Sakura. I really like these ones. I like the metallic in these. It produces a really nice sheen. But this one is a solvent-based pen, so you have to shake it very well. And then you'll prime it just like you do any other one. Pump it up and down on the surface, and then it's ready to go. And again, this one has that nice firm tip. So either one of these will work very well for what we're doing. So I need a little bit of mermaid tail for this. Just a tiny bit. We're going to put a shadow behind the lettering. So I'm going to thin out this mermaid tail, much like I did with the asphaltum. You don't want this colorful strength because it's very strong. And we're going to shade up against each of those lines, like so. I know that's impossible to see. So it's a very light float. So float up against the right side of each letter and inside the right side, just like that. So it's just to put a little shadow to the right side of each one of those letters. Pebeo Precious Gold acrylic pen. Oh, nice. Here we are. I'm trying not to touch the adhesive. I'll let you know if I succeed. I've already managed to put my fingers in it once, so. Good gravy, Marie. There we are. Okay, so I've got my shading in. And I think I missed one. There we go. Try to make sure I get all my shading in.
Oh, you got your glue down already?
Yep. We're just waiting for it to dry. Hi, Robin. So, we're going to make sure this is good and dry. And Renee is back, so I think he's going to start loading up that wheel. So the fun part about this is that for this lettering, it's pretty straightforward. So you can, I really like this one. Quite simply, just trace your lettering.
Where can I find the pens you use?
You can find all of them, whether it's the Posca pens or the these gold paint pens. These are all available on Amazon. If you're looking for the red or the black gel pens that I use, we do have those on the website. Holiday Blessings. I really like this one, this Pen Touch gold. You can usually get these in sets, a gold and a silver. They're pretty reasonable. I think they're about $11 or $12 for a set, which is not bad at all. And they do last for quite a while. I've had very few issues with those. The Posca pens in the metallics are absolutely phenomenal. I like the super fine point for that. So for detailing and whatnot, these are great. For edging, for doing edges and whatnot, this is perhaps my favorite.
I'm just getting some news.
Okay. So this perhaps is my favorite. This is the Deco Color Premium. This one works extremely well. And I like this one for doing edging. So to finish edges like this, these little areas here are always such a pain. And I love this paint pen for this reason, is that I can edge very nicely. And then if you tip it forward just a little, you can get a really nice gold border on the front of your piece as well. And I'm thinking this one has just about had the biscuit. I haven't bought a new one of these in about a year and a half. So I'm surprised this one still has paint left in it, because I use it a lot. So next Saturday, we're going to be painting a fun little piece for the holidays. It's Meet Me Under the, or Kiss Me Under the Mistletoe. I love this one. I love the background. I love everything about it. It's just a fun piece to paint. And this is almost dry. Just a couple more spots. I'm going to speed things up a little bit here. While Renee gets our wheel ready, our prize pack for this month is a really nice travel set. And it's loaded with supplies from Tombow. So it's got a great set of pencils and drawing pens and a bunch of goodies in there from Tombow. Plus there's a set of brushes from Dynasty, Faux Squirrel. And a bunch of other goodies in there as well. Some stuff that Renee and I throw in. So
I'm going to start putting dog treats in.
puppy treats? That'd be cute. What? What did you accidentally do?
I think I copied it and pasted it twice.
Okay. Why? 433 names. Okay. Just take it all off and just copy and paste it once. So almost there. As I said, this adhesive has to be completely dry before you attempt to put any foil on top of it, simply because it'll just pull it off if it's not dry. So it gets extremely sticky, but it's such a fun thing to watch the foil stick to it. It's one of those happy ooh-ah moments. I love that. And I need this to be completely dry. Whew. So the foil that we're using is called Deco Foil. This is it here. It comes 5 transfer sheets to a package, and it lasts quite a while. You can go quite a ways using this stuff. It's fantastic. And it's so simple to use. Shiny side up is the rule of thumb. So you just lay it onto your surface and then burnish with your fingertips. You don't have to press hard, but it immediately transfers the foil. So a light touch, just a light rub is all you need. And the really fun part about this is that if it doesn't all take perfectly the first time, you just go back and do it again. Yeah. And
there's more use than that.
Such a fun product to work with. And that little bit of gold, that little bit of bling, just does lovely things. Look how pretty. Look how that sparkles a little bit. I love it.
Need everybody on YouTube to say hi.
They're all having trouble with YouTube today. So look at that. I love that little bit of bling. Look how pretty that is. Little burnish. Look at that. So fun. Remember the little dots in the center of our piece? Look at, they get that little bit of gold on there. It's just that nice little flash. So pretty. So you can look around, and if at any point you see where you're getting incomplete lines or the gold hasn't taken as well as you'd like, you just lay it back down, burnish it lightly. I'm just using a little pressure with my fingers. And look at that. So I love that we've got a little bit of bling.
There we go.
So that little bit of gold, look at that. Choop. I love that bling. And besides, it's a Christmas piece, so you need some bling. Now, if you want to really make this lettering stand out over here, take your black gel pen and just little hash marks up against the right side of each letter, just to define it. It's tiny little dots of black. It just helps make the lettering stick out a little bit. Creates a little more shadow on the lettering. If you wanted to, you could also trace the lettering with that adhesive and then use the gold foil. There's so many fun ways that you can jazz this up, so to speak. But I love that sparkle of gold on this piece. It's just so pretty. Having fun?
Got them all.
Awesome.
Not as many as we usually have, but
We're not missing anybody.
I don't think so.
YouTube was giving everybody grief today. There we go.
But got them up to go.
It is. So as I said, you can have a little bit of fun with this. I love that flash of gold. It's so pretty and so easy to do. That is our holiday blessings. Yes, Carrie, it is sparkle, but it's not glitter.
Thank God.
It's sparkle, but it's not glitter. Renee doesn't care for glitter.
I hate glitter.
Um, that's a great question, Rosalind. Do I seal my piece before I foil? Ideally, yes. However, you can seal it afterwards. But if you really want that super shiny look, seal it first, then apply your gold foil.
Oh, why is it so big?
We have a huge wheel, oodles of people on it. That's awesome.
Does it spin though?
Thanks, Marjorie.
It spins.
Okay, so again, just to recap, we've got 3 giveaways today, courtesy of Tombow and from Dynasty Brush. We have a set of Dynasty Faux Squirrel brushes in a great little travel case with a drawing set from Tombow. There's drawing pens as well as pencils. And of course, there's always some goodies that we throw in as well. So it's a nice little set, comes in a gorgeous little case. So that is your giveaway for today. And I think our first draw is going to spin any second. Maybe. Spin. There it goes.
Oop, I got a box.
You get a box.
Mm-hmm.
Jewel Albright is our winner.
Of course, that's way at the top there.
And as always, make sure that you pop onto the website at tracymoreau.net. Click on the little speech bubble in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send us your shipping information so that we can get your goodies out to you as soon as possible. And anything that is unclaimed after 2 weeks goes back in the bin and we use it for future prizes or for other giveaways.
Yay!
Jewel Albright.
All right. Got a box. Got a bumblebee on it.
Yep.
It's got a bumblebee. A fuzzy butt bumblebee.
Of course. There's no other kind. And the second one goes to The Truth Shall Set You Free. That's Lucy.
We know that, Lucy.
We do. It's been a while since Lucy has won something.
Oh, kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, what to put? I'll put truth.
Just put Lucy. Or put both.
Yeah, put truth. Brackets. Lucy.
And we've got one more.
Move it from this wheel. Because I have a second wheel with her name on it because she's a member.
Yep. And the last one goes to Tammy Smoot.
I don't recognize that name.
It's a new one.
That is a new name.
Yeah.
Congrats, Tammy!
I gotta get rid of that name, Lucy.
Tammy Smoot. I think she's from Facebook.
Awesome. So, congratulations, Tammy and Lucy. And what was the other one? I forgot. My brain's not functioning today.
Tammy and Lucy and Jewel.
Jewel. Awesome. So don't forget, head over to the website, click on that little speech bubble in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. Send us your shipping information so we can get your goodies out to you as soon as possible. That was fun. I enjoyed that today. It was nice to sit and paint with you guys. I missed you last week after all of our little gremlins.
Internet connection issues.
Yes, connection issues, big time. So we are, we have kicked up things, oodles of levels, because now we've got mega fast routers and God knows what else. So
I made the internet fast.
Yeah, Renee made the internet fast. So we're good to go now. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm so happy to have all of you here every Saturday. Thank you. Next Saturday, we are painting Kiss Me Under the Mistletoe. We're going to have a little bit of fun with that one. It's mostly stenciling and just some really easy techniques to paint mistletoe. So I will see you next Saturday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, right here. Same place, same bat channel. And we'll paint another festive piece. Keep your eyes out this week. I've got a fun little RAK project coming your way. Going to film a video for you. And we'll pop that up later on in the week, along with a new project sheet. And we've got some new printables coming your way too. So keep your eyes peeled for those things. They'll be up on the website. And watch for the newsletter, something special in the newsletter coming this week on Monday. If you're not registered for my newsletter, please stop off at the website and log on, or just go and sign up for my newsletter. All kinds of fun stuff shows up on there every Monday. So thanks again for joining us, as you do every Saturday. We appreciate you. Make sure you hit the subscribe button or the follow button on my Facebook page. We'd love to have you follow us, and hit the subscribe button so that you know when we go live and when we post new video.
Got a couple of things here.
Okay, go ahead.
Harlan Newell.
Yes, Harlan.
She gave you 100 stars.
Awesome, thank you. That goes towards the puppy fund.
How come I'm not seeing the YouTube stuff here?
YouTube's been wonky.
Oh, okay. No, that's 3 days ago. Never mind. Okay. 1 second. There's some things.
There's some things.
There's some things. I just go to the right places. If I was using my computer, I'd have...
Yeah, well, you've got 3 monitors and God knows what else.
I have 2.
2?
I have 2 monitors. That is not the current stream.
No.
Manage. That's the current stream. Viewer activity. There we go. So Judy Thacker donated $20.
Thank you very much, Judy.
Teresa Casper donated $50.
Aw, in memory of all lost pets in the mountain fire. That was so sad. Thank you so much, Teresa.
And Sylvia
Benedict. Nice.
Also donated $50.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Also her first donation.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Oh, I love the little graphic.
Yeah, the big one there.
Yep.
So those are the 3 donators today. Right on. There you go.
Awesome.
I knew there was a bunch of them. They're not popping up on our software.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much, you guys. We really do appreciate the support of our Feed the Pupper Fund. And it also feeds the kitties, too. It's in support of our local animal shelter. So thank you so much. We greatly appreciate that. We do have the 12 Days of Christmas live coming up on December 7th. I can't wait for this one. It's going to be so much fun. We're going to be painting that Santa sled, which I really love this guy. I painted him 3 times so far. I'm going to paint him again. But I really love this guy. It's a lot of fun to paint, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. We will have more of the sled kits, the pre-order kits. It is behind me. We will have more of the kits coming in. They are ordered and on their way. I've been tracking them daily, so they'll be on their way in. As for the ones that have already been ordered, we have been packing and shipping about 30 a day, which has just been insane. So they are on the way. If you haven't gotten a notification, either it's gone to spam or B, it hasn't shipped yet. But we are packing them and shipping them as quickly as we can. And so as soon as they are available, we will update the website so that if you haven't gotten one yet, you'll be able to. And we do have a cutoff for next Friday just to ensure that everybody gets them before the 7th of December. That was been my goal, so that everybody could get their surface before then. So, having said all of that, thanks so much for joining us. We really do appreciate it. So, everybody have a great weekend, and please stay safe. Mwah. We love you.
Pet your dog.
Pet your dog.
Pet your whole dog.
All of it.
Oh. Pet all of the dog.
All of the dog, not just the top of the head. Everything.
End. And bye.
My Santa looks like Renee's face. Wrong color eyes.
It does not. God, my head is white.
Yes. Oh my gosh.